Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Vanessa Dunn Guyton, and I am the proud founder and executive director of Hush No More. Hush No More supports survivors when they are ready to share their story, when they need resources, or they just need somebody to listen. So every Tuesday, we come on as part of Hush No More Champions, where we spotlight survivors, advocates, or nonprofit organizations. And so I am so honored because today we are going to talk to a group of mothers and daughters who are doing some great things in our community. So I'm going to bring all of them on. Welcome, ladies. I am so honored that you all decided to join me today. It is truly an honor to be able to speak to some wonderful, beautiful ladies that are doing great things in our community and making a difference. So tonight we have with us Alicia Harris, Charlotte Cowser, Jackie Pitt, and Onita Simpson. And so, welcome, ladies. We are about to have a great conversation from the perspective of mothers and daughters. And what do you have to share with us? They did this amazing book, right? Called Mothers and Daughters, because they have a right to share their story the way they want to share their story from their heart, and regardless of what other people think or what other people have to say. And so I love that. I love that concept to be able to say what we have to say. So, Jackie, can you tell us about the group of ladies as you come forward?
Oh, yes. Thank you so very much, Dr. Guyton, for having us here. I'm so excited and delighted that we get the opportunity to speak with you and share with your audience our stories. The anthology that came to fruition just came out of a vision from a Facebook page that I had started almost a year ago. I think we're right there at a year. And the goal was just to have some friends that had daughters to join us and come together and support each other on this journey. And then I started saying, what can we add to just kind of, make it interesting, make it fun. And so then I was just led to add Feature Friday. And when I did Feature Friday, the stories that came out of Feature Friday was so amazing that, God just dropped in my spirit, write a book. And I was like, oh, write a book? What do you mean write a book? I'm already writing a book. I was already working on my personal memoir. And he was like, no, put that down, write this. Of course, I obeyed, I was obedient to the call. And so these ladies are the six other ladies. It was six other ladies that answered the call. It's four of us tonight, but it's a total of seven. And if anyone knows about numbers, they understand what the number seven mean is completion. So that was absolutely phenomenal to have them come on board and join us. And they have some phenomenal stories. I mean, some stories that are tear jerkers, some stories that'll make you angry and you ready to fight, some stories that really would, bring you joy and happiness and all that is such a wealth and a spectrum of emotions that this book take you through. And so I'm delighted for each of them that made a decision to say yes to the call along with me for mothers and daughters, their story, their way, only they can tell it.
So I'm really excited because a lot of times we don't always get a project off the ground. Like we'll come together and we don't always finish it. Or people complain about social media, how they don't like social media. It's a lot of drama, a lot of, back and forth, a lot of negativity. I absolutely love social media because I've met some amazing women. Even tonight, like I'm getting the opportunity to really talk to all of you. And that's because of social media. And for you all to come together and make a difference in each other's lives to the point that you want to write a book, I think that's phenomenal. So thank you for that. So Jackie, tell us about you today, and then tell us about your role in the book, actually, part of your story.
Today, as I'm a wife, I'm a mother of three daughters by marriage and one bonus daughter. So we have four daughters. I have a wonderful son-in-law, Peter. I have three grandchildren, set of grand twins that are 7, baby girl that is 3, and they full of life. And so we never have a dull moment, especially with them around. And as a nurse, I'm a nurse, a minister, uh, entrepreneur, and of course, through the writing of this book, now I'm actually a published author. And my my role in the book itself, outside of being a visionary, was to tell the story of how it is, first and foremost, to live with someone that had mental illness. My mom suffered from manic depression, and it's different when you're an adult and you see things differently. But when you're a child and you're growing up as a child and a teenager, and you have to go through that, it can be even more of a challenge. And that's why I wanted to tell part of that story about how it was growing up in the household with someone who suffered from mental illness. And I didn't tell the story about my dad, uh, which is also unfortunate. Fortunate, of course, he's passed, but he also suffered from mental illness. So he wasn't in the household with me. It was a very brief period of time, but also through that process, I talk about what it was like as well, not only the mental illness, but also what it was like of being a teenage mom, to find out that you're pregnant as a teenager. So all that combined gives a story that can be so frightening, but at the same time, I thank God for the way He was able to lead me through the process of getting through that journey and still coming out on this side of the story, where even though I had to walk through the fire, I was able to come out without smelling like smoke. So that's what I tell people all the time.
So Jackie, for me, I related so much to actually all of you, but definitely to you because it gave me a different perspective. I dealt with severe depression for many
Mm,
years. And so my children were growing up with a mother that struggled with mental illness. Like I
mm,
apologize to them because I know that there were times that I was not even physically able to be there for my children. And so I
mhm.
really related to that. And I think it's very important as parents for us to know the perspective of children and how our actions affect our children. And then I had my daughter when I was 18. I was still in high school. So I was like,
Oh,
yeah, I was too. So just to be able to understand mental health from an adult perspective, it's very difficult as a child.
that's
Did you
right.
get permission from your mom? Like, did you have a conversation with her before you shared your story about her journey, essentially?
Well, no, I didn't, because my mom passed when our youngest daughter is now 18. She was born December of 2002, and my mom passed away 2.5 months after she was born in March of 2003. So I didn't have an opportunity to speak with her about sharing that. And that's why I was very particular about, what I shared, so for I wanted the audience to understand and wanted the audience to see what I felt as a child growing up with a mom that had mental illness. But I also wanted to, not paint a life as it was the most horrible life ever at all times, because it wasn't. It was not, because when she was taking her medication, it was the best of life. My mom was one of the most loving people, and I don't believe I could be the lover of people as I am, had it not been for her showing me how to love people, as my youngest daughter say. Thank you, Mom, for showing me how to love people well. So
And I didn't feel like you shared your mom's story in a negative light. You were very honest and loving. And so I think that's important for people to understand that you don't have to share your story and hurt people, but although sometimes people are hurt based on your story.
that's right.
But it's all right to tell it still because it's our life and it happened to us. So I get that. So thank
Right,
you.
exactly. You're welcome.
All right. So Alicia, tell us about Alicia today.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Alicia Harris, and I currently reside in Columbia, South Carolina. I'm originally from New Jersey, Patterson, New Jersey. So, any of my friends out there, hey. Um, the Alicia you see sitting before you today is definitely not the Alicia that grew up in what I call the concrete jungle of Patterson, New Jersey. She is much more confident. She is much more assured and whole. Um, One thing I say in the book is that there was a point in my life that I was just a shell of a woman. I had been through domestic violence. I too had my daughter, my oldest daughter, when I was 17 years old. And I can remember still my mother sobbing in the bed because I was supposed to be the one to get out of the hood. I was supposed to be the one to be the doctor and to be successful. And, having a child at such a young age, most people counted that as that's all you're ever going to be is an unwed mother on social assistance. And as a matter of fact, I was told that by teachers and people that were supposed to, or at least I thought so, supposed to speak life into me. And so with that, I allowed that to shape who I was. And so that was the lens that I viewed life through. Like, this is all I'm going to be, a unwed mother. And there's no need to strive for anything additional except to secure a husband because I didn't want the stigma of being a single parent, um, which led me to a relationship that just was not healthy. My mom and dad divorced when I was very, very young, and it was not amicable by any means. And so, even though I would visit my dad, he still was absent. And so, some people pride themselves on having a two-parent home, but you can have two parents in a home and the person still be absent emotionally and mentally. And I remember doing everything I could to please him. It's almost as if the little kid that says, "Hey, mom, look at me. Hey, dad, look at me. Look at this. Look what I'm doing." And I did everything. I was on the honor roll. I won the science fair. I did everything I could do. And I said, if only he could see me, that would make it better. But it never happened. And so I didn't understand at a young age that adults have their issues that they're dealing with as well. But as a child, I expected you to be present in my world for what I needed. So long, after that, um, I started looking for that affection, that affirmation and acceptance in men. And I found myself in unhealthy relationships that led to domestic violence, that led to substance abuse, that led to just brokenness, that made me feel like I was not worthy, like I was not enough. And I could not understand why no one thought that I was enough. I talk about in the book just a little bit about my mom, who was a strong Black woman. And she was about 5'2", but she was a keg of dynamite. And you did not play with Beatrice. And that had a huge effect on me, but not necessarily in a positive way when I was going through my brokenness. Because my mother was so strong, it made me feel even less than because I couldn't understand why I wasn't strong. I came from a strong mother. So why am I not strong? Why am I allowing myself to be abused and mistreated and taken for granted? And one thing my mother always said was, "Oh, a woman is stupid if she allows a man to put his hands on her." So then that, piled on top of the worthlessness. Now I'm stupid. So I'm in a relationship where it's unhealthy, it's unsafe, and I'm thinking I can't tell anybody about this because I'm stupid. And so how do you overcome that? And one thing that I tell my kids, I used to tell them, words are seeds. And so you got to be careful of the seeds that you sow into people by the things that you say, because those things can germinate and take root. And then we start showing up based on what was planted and what we've cultivated internally. And that's where I was. Um, I went through that for 3 years, almost lost my life because of it. And here I am today. Now, some very, very many years of that behind me. And I say to people, I'm not just a survivor of domestic violence, but I'm a champion. Because, see, to survive means, okay, you got out and you're just making it. No, I'm thriving. I am now a PhD student, soon to be a doctoral candidate. So I'm excited about that. And I'm using my story, I'm using my experiences to reach back and take care of other women, to let them know you are enough, to let them know you can change the tape. And the words that were spoken over you that were negative, you have a right to discard those and decide how you want to show up in the earth.
I love it. So, for those that are listening, if you have watched the Hush No More documentary, Alicia shares her story in the documentary. And so, we're truly honored that she's continuing to be a champion for domestic violence. I think that is so important to share your story, to encourage others, because sometimes we look at women like, all of you are so beautiful. We could look at you and say, you've had this perfect life, nothing's happened, you have successful careers, and then that's not it. We all have like these dimensions that we have. And so, Alicia, to know that you almost died as it related to domestic violence really sets a tone for others to be encouraged, and especially through your book. Do you feel like you've changed to the point of no return?
In terms of unhealthy relationships, yes.
Yeah.
I really do. I'm thankful that I've evolved because I went from victim to aggressor. When Tyler Perry captioned it so well in a scene he did with he's the psychiatrist, Dr. Phil, when he said, I'm going to get them before they get me. That was me. And I went from being abused to no one's ever going to abuse me again. So I became the aggressor. And now I have evolved into a woman who knows what she wants and what she's willing to accept. And I'm not afraid to walk away from things that are not unhealthy because they don't define my value.
Not at all. Not at all. So thank you. Thank you.
You're
All right.
welcome.
So, Charlotte, tell us a little bit about Charlotte, who you are today, and about your part in the book.
My name is Charlotte Kauser. I'm the CEO and founder of Sloan Selective Services Incorporated. That's seniors helping seniors with technology. I kind of looked at myself in that mirror when I started my business on that. I have 2 children. I have a son and a daughter. Both are married. Well, one's engaged and my son is married. A year into his marriage, he lives in Beijing, China. They're expecting their first child. He's already let me know I need to learn Chinese. The first language will be Chinese, and the second language will be English. So we'll see how that works. My daughter works for a franchise tax board. She doesn't live too far from me, and matter of fact, we're close to her job, and she's doing well. And I have a granddaughter. Her name is Julia. Miss Julia is 12, and she's going to be the next president. I already see that in her already when she gets there. A little bit about myself. I am a military brat. I was born South Islip, England. 2 of us, me and my baby sister. We had held dual citizenship for a while. Strong mother, very father that was a high achiever. 4 of us, 4 daughters. I have 1 brother. I also have a strong mother, as Alicia mentioned about her mother. My mother was an example for all 4 of us. Strong, independent in her own way, and like I said, she gave us what we call a silver spoon. You don't come out the house looking any kind of way. You don't go any kind of way. You're going to look this way, you're going to dress this way, and this is the way the society will see you. Well, as my journey starts, and my chapter is called Silver Spoon, I talk a little bit about what it is to have a silver spoon, and then it's snatched from your mouth unexpectedly through addiction. Now, strange enough, my father was the director of it's called Klein Bottle here in Sacramento, California, for years of drug and alcoholism. He didn't allow his daughters to go to any of their outings or anything like that. Matter of fact, we stayed away from that. That was that other shelter part. You don't come to where dad works. It's the drug addicted people here. So therefore, that's all we knew, where he worked and what he did. So my husband, we're in Germany. Jackie was my neighbor and stuff like that. So in many years, we would deal with addiction. That's my thought. How it happened, it creeped up on me like the wind in the night. One day he came and he said, I have a problem.
Charlotte, we can't hardly hear you.
I'm sorry.
Out. And I this is like a good part of your story, so I want everybody to be able to hear it. So can you leave the studio, like go all the way out and then come back in, and then I'll come back to you because this is about to get real good. I don't want to watch you miss it. All right, so we'll go to Onita. Hello, Onita.
Good evening.
So share a little bit about you and your part in the book and your story.
Well, my name is Onita Simpson, and I am a mother of two daughters, a 17-year-old and 18-year-old. And my oldest daughter will be starting college this fall. We're excited about that. And my 17-year-old is going to be a senior, so back to back. They're 13 months apart. I'm a legal assistant here in Columbia, South Carolina, and I work as a DA civilian on Fort Jackson. I'm also now a published author ×2. Thank you, Miss Jackie. And I'm one of 12 siblings, and that's blended, but they are my siblings. So I don't consider step siblings. I am one of 12. And I think that's pretty much it as far as like who I am. I don't like to carry the title divorce because that's not something I want to associate myself with. That's something that happened to me. I'm a single parent, but I do speak about my divorce in my chapter in the book, and it's called Redemption. And I would like to read what the definition of redemption is, just in case someone needed some clarification. There's two definitions: the action of saving or being saved from sin, error, or evil. And then 2, the action of regaining or gaining possession of something in exchange for payment or clearing a debt. And during my divorce, that's what it was about. Everything that I lost, God redeemed in the end. You know, the house that we lived in, I lost in the divorce. But the house that I'm in now, that the Lord blessed us with during the pandemic last March, is almost 2 times the size of the house that I had when I was married. And I'm a single parent. There's no boo, there's no side, there's no, it's just me, God, and my daughters. So I talk about, you know, the things that happened during the divorce, how me and my daughters, we were sleeping on air mattresses at some point, but we were in an apartment. And it's like you said, you can look at each of us and be like, oh, they're so beautiful. You know, they can't be going through anything. I learned to put a smile on my face for my daughters. There were plenty of times I cried in the shower because they were small, and I've been divorced over 8 years, almost 8 years now. So they were 9 and 10 at the time. And like we were speaking about earlier, children don't process things the way that we process. So I was very serious about them seeing good things. I put them in extracurricular activities and kept their minds going because they kept asking, where's daddy? Where's daddy? And I just got tired of saying, I don't have the answers for you. So let me help you get your mind off of what you don't have by putting you into activities that's going to keep you busy. And it's also going to give me a break because I don't have to keep answering these questions. So just going through that process of, you know, sleeping on air mattresses in an apartment. And I don't talk about it in the book, but I remember a time that I pawned my good jewelry just so I could get them school supplies and uniforms. But again, people will see this face and think, oh, everything is great. No, this is a highlight reel. You don't want my life, because if you did, you'd have to go through everything that I already went through. And you don't want that part. But you can't have this part without the backstory. So just being able to share that with men and women and mentor some who have come and asked, how did you do it? How did you, make it? And I said, it was God. Even in the beginning, I was sat next to, when I started my grad school program, I walked into the classroom and there was one open seat left, and I sat next to this gentleman who didn't say anything for about 2 or 3 classes. And then I find out he's a pastor, and he's actually still my pastor to this day. So that was 2012. So the Lord knew exactly what I was getting ready to go through, and he sat me down at the front of the class next to the pastor to help me walk through this journey, because he knew what issues were going to come up, um, what pain I was going to have to go through. So I'm just grateful that I can share this story with so many other people to show them, look, I know you lost something, but he's able to redeem it and give you back something 10 times better. So it may hurt right now for a moment, but it won't hurt always. So if we choose better instead of bitter, we win in the end, because that's the harder choice to make. It's hard to say, you know what, I ain't gonna clap back. I'm not gonna do X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna choose be better. And it baffles them that you didn't move, you weren't shaken. Meanwhile, I might be in my house saying, okay, Lord, I know you saw that. But out here in public, like Miss Charlotte said, you're going to look a certain way. I'm not going to allow my enemy to see me broken, but I know who I can go to in my quiet time. I know who I can talk to, who's going to polish me back up and say, go back out and help other people. So that's just a little bit about my story. And I really appreciate this opportunity to share.
You are welcome. So, a lot of times we don't talk about divorce in our society. It's like a taboo, especially in the church. We're not going to talk about divorce in our families. It's like a hush hush topic for real, for real. And for you, you so eloquently talked about your divorce and how you overcame. And I love the fact that you didn't come from a bitter place. You came from a healed place of this is what happened, matter of factly, but I'm in a better position now. For you, did you ever experience where people had negative things to say when you were going through your divorce or decided to get a divorce?
No, because actually I was quiet about it. I really only told my sister, my mom, and one of my brothers, because I didn't want that. What happened? Y'all can't get it together. Y'all can't make it work. Especially, I have 2 daughters that they don't need to go through all these extra negative emotions. They're already going through their dad not being in the home, them not talking to him every day. So for me, it was the less people who knew about it, the less people that I had to explain my decision, because ultimately it's my life. And if I'm not feeling that I'm living it to my highest potential, then I don't need the naysayers around me anyways. I don't need it. But I was completely quiet about it. But it was after the divorce when I started to voice and find my voice, because I was looking for myself throughout that time frame and able to help other women and men who have come and say, I don't know how, but and me to encourage them, even to say at times, are you sure that's what you want? Are you sure it can't be worked out? And a couple have gone back and say, you know what, we didn't give it a good try. We're in counseling now. So just because I got divorced doesn't mean that I'm telling everybody else, oh, you should do it. No, marriage is sanctified by God. So I'm not going to be out here telling somebody you shouldn't do it. I'm going to tell them what somebody didn't tell me. If we had the help, if we had therapy, then we probably could have made it. But because we were young and nobody was in our ears that were positive, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, I love my daughters so much so that I can't say anything bad about him, because they're half of him. And if I speak negatively about him, then I'm ultimately speaking negatively about my daughters. And I don't play about D&J Incorporated. So I'm always going to speak or the highest regard as it comes to that.
I love that. I absolutely love that because sometimes when we're hurt, we share our hurt with other people and then they tend to hurt too. So it's almost like a virus. So you have a great point about not sharing that, not telling everybody that, not sharing the negative, but from a very healed place. And I think that is so important as well. Did you have a conversation with your daughters about the book?
I did, and there are a lot of things that I did not put in the book for them, for their growth, because one thing I learned is some burdens are not meant for our children to carry. And if we tell them too soon, it could kill them or destroy them. So there's some things that I did not put in there, but as they've gotten older, most recently this year, I actually explained, and then they said, "Oh, that makes sense why X, Y, and Z happened." But the good thing about it was they still didn't harbor any animosity. They were just like, "Mommy, are you serious?" And I said, "Yes." And I think they look at me differently now, that you went through all of that and you still were able to accomplish all these things and still be kind. So I'm an example for them, so they know just because someone else did something to you, you don't have to react negatively, because in the end, I know who's going to redeem all the time I thought I lost. And it's going to be way better. So I don't have to sit here and harp on all these bad things, but I can be honest with them in a way that is not coming off negatively.
I love it. And I think that is very important that you have that conversation with your children because sometimes we think our kids don't know or that they're not seeing things, and they do. I can tell you that because I saw a lot of things with my parents and growing up in a very violent home at one point. I knew things that was going on. I didn't understand everything, but I did know things were going on that were not right. And so I think it's very important that we have conversations with our children, one, to prepare them for their own lives as they're adults, and also so they can understand and appreciate. The children these days are way smarter than I think than what we were. So I love that you had the open conversation with them. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, Charlotte, welcome back. Welcome back. Let's see if you're good now.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, that's better. That's better. So we were about to get into the addiction part of your story. So
Okay, the silver spoon out of my mouth. The silver spoon got ripped out of my mouth. Like I said, my husband did tell me he had a problem, and he said it was with cocaine, and he could not stop using it. My response was just stop, just leave it alone, and that was it for me. I thought, it's something that you do, but unfortunately, as time went on, and car payments didn't get paid, things started getting missing. He started disappearing. The staying out for days. And of course, the first thing I'm going through that, who is she and all this other stuff, well, she was the cocaine. He did anything and everything up to the point he did, I did the revolving door with him. I did do let's go to counseling with him, all the stuff you're supposed to do in a marriage. I did all that, but all of it failed, and he went right back to the drugs. It got to the point when I stopped the revolving door. He did leave one day, but he left like this. The car got repossessed. He cut up all my clothes. All the food was gone, and he left us with nothing. And then, of course, for me, it was a total shock. Did I know what to do? No, I did not know what to do. I must have stepped out on somebody's face or something, because I did the unspeakable. For me is, for my raincoat, I had a trash bag in the rain. I didn't know how to ride the transit system, as I watched the young ladies prior with their children getting on the transit system. I did not know how to do a lot of things by myself, but I learned very quickly. I was not afraid to get out there because I had a reason. 2 children and survival. I had to survive. And in order to survive, I had to do what I needed to do to get out there and make it happen. Unlike, I think Onita might have mentioned, my daughter was about nine when it was going on. And she took it pretty hard. She thought she was the reason her dad had left. I mean, literally, she thought she was the reason. So, sugarcoating it first, no, you're not. some adult thing, mom and dad thing, it has nothing to do with you. Dr. Vanessa, you said it right. Children are not stupid. She knew something was wrong. They knew something was wrong. And it's like, it has to be us because it makes no sense. So I decided to start explaining to them what I did not know. This is what's going on. It's not you. Your father has a problem and he needs help, and it has nothing to do with you. Well, the words that come out of your mouth don't necessarily mean that's what your children are going to believe. And in my book, as I talk about our journey, I'm talking about the journey between my daughter, her dad, and the journey that we went on. And what she did not want in her life was to have a life like her mom. She didn't want to be divorced, and she definitely did not want to have an addicted relationship. As you read on in my story, she wound up having that. And you have to read the story to get into the details. But as she went through her journey, as she went through her journey, that I had to share this journey with her, by the way. I knew what she was getting into, but I did not want to lose her. So I had to be a force to be reckoned with and play the game. I had to play the game. I had to step out on faith because I knew the man that she got pregnant by was in school, and they talked about getting married. I knew there was an issue with this man, but it was a wedge. She loves him. She loves mom. Okay, I didn't want to tear her back and forth, so I played the game, and I will say that it paid off. It paid off. When you're patient and you're honest with your children and you let them grow, but you always let them know you are there no matter what, I will tell you, it does pay off. It paid off. Like I said, you have to read the chapter to go through our journey, but I'm proud of her as she went through her journey today, and she's healed and healing. And when I wrote the chapter, I cried. When you revisit things in your life that you think you stuck under the rug and you got through it, you'd be like, what? And I called her and said, you know what? I love you. She says, Mom, why are you crying? I said, I just got to tell you I love you. Because you just go through the whole emotion again, like you got through something, but you got to go through it in order to let it fester and do its thing. You got to go through that tunnel. And I always tell my kids, leave a little light, because whatever may happen in your life that may be disappointing, if you leave just a little light to save yourself mentally, you can come out of it and you'll work it out. And I will say I'm very proud of her today. And she's going to seek therapy for herself, just for herself. I do speak to her father. I did it never. I thought I would never, ever, 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 for what he did, speak to him. But we are on good speaking terms. And he remarried. And I am living happily single. Fine. What? I don't know. I won't say no boo or babe. But I am doing good. I love my life. I've been single for over 30 years. And I live my life the way I want to live my life. And like I said, as long as my children are healthy, mentally and physically, yes, they'll have their trials and tribulations, but mom will always be here, not to interfere, but when you need me.
So Charlotte, a lot of times we don't share about how bad our relationships are, especially when it comes to addiction and being in a relationship with somebody that's struggling with addiction. For you, what was the difficult part of sharing that? Like, were you embarrassed? Were you shameful during that time when it was going on, trying to end that relationship? How did you feel, if that makes sense?
No, actually, it was like an unknown warrior. Because Jackie would tell you, I could have reached out to Jackie, Carolyn, any of my friends. None of them knew. Jackie didn't know my story until I wrote this chapter. I decided something inside me, it was like a warrior. It's like, you got to get through this. You got to do whatever you're guided to do. And I had no emotion. I can tell you there was no shame, there was no guilt. It was just, I had to do it. That's probably why when I wrote the chapter, I became the boohoo queen, and, and everything else, because all the strength that I had went into, like Onita said too, I made sure my kids, they did a little Goodwill clothing session, but they didn't live any differently than what they were used to living, okay? And my son understood why he wasn't getting Nikes. And my daughter understood why she wasn't wearing the best of the best. That made my life easy for my struggle because they didn't give me grief and be like some kids that say, why, mom, why? I won't. So I was blessed not to have grief. We called ourselves the Three Musketeers, like we had a bond that no one could break. And we went to the journey, all three of us. So I was blessed that they did not give me any grief for that. So I'm proud of that.
I was just very impressed with your story from the point of talking about your struggles, talking about addiction. Not only was it with her dad, then your daughter ended up in a relationship that was part of addiction too. Me, I struggled. I'm very open about alcoholism, and that was my addiction. And I was just saying, thank God that my addiction didn't get that bad. It gave me hope, and to say, Vanessa, you got to keep being sober. I'm 2 years sober, y'all. I always clap myself. But it gave me hope and told me you just got to stay on the right track because there is always a possibility that you could lose everything. You could lose the silver spoon. And also it encouraged other women that they can make it no matter what you're going through, no matter what type of person you are with, there is light on the other side. And so I was really honored that you shared your story. All of you, I was able to relate to your own personal stories. One thing that stood out to me the most was what gave you the courage to share it? And either one of you can go. You want to share, Jackie? What gave you the courage?
I think for me, I had already been sharing my story with people individually and separately. But also, I knew that the power of your story and the power of your voice, and everyone is not moved or have a shift from one particular person. So that's one of the reasons I knew that I had to share it. And of course, like anything, when you're doing sharing something like this, you're opening yourself up, not just to your friends anymore. Now it becomes public knowledge. And with public knowledge, with anything or any position that you take that's publicly, you're susceptible to scrutiny. You're susceptible to people saying, I knew it. You're susceptible to people just, whatever they want to think and make up. But I had decided that that was not for me to worry about. What I needed to do was tell the story so that other women could understand that they have a story and they also, which I mentioned in the book, are wounded healers. We all are wounded healers.
I love it. I love it. That's a great perspective. You can't worry about what other people think, right?
No,
That's hard though. Oh my goodness, it's so hard.
it
You said it down for some people, but it is definitely hard to get that courage to share. Alicia, what about you? Where did it come from for you?
I have been sharing my story for many years, bits and pieces of it. Whenever I spoke at a domestic violence event, or whenever someone, divulged to me that they were experiencing it. But the thing that really catapulted me was to remove the guilt and shame and to expose the enemy because what I mean by that is it was always, oh, people are going to find out you went through domestic violence. People are going to find out that you allowed someone to take advantage of you. People are going to find out that you contemplated suicide as an alternative to being abused. And that was a nagging feeling that I said enough, and I'm going to take control over my story. It is my story. I will tell it, and I don't have to worry about somebody else doing so. And so it was to expose, it was to bring about healing, and it was to allow people to see the humanistic side of me, because I often get told, well, Alicia, you seem so confident, so put together, and so sure of yourself. And I had to let people know, yes, but I was not always this way. So please don't look at this version of me and then internalize that feeling as if you're not enough, because we're all evolving.
I love it. Look, I'm gonna tell my own story. You don't have to tell the story. I'm gonna take all that away, give that power back to me, and share my story the way I want to tell it. So I really
Right.
like
Right.
that. Nita, what about you?
For me, it was, coming from a place that I was already healed. And I see so many people who are going through divorce and they feel like they don't have anybody to talk to or anybody that, they can go to in confidence and not judge them, because that's how I was. It was a very lonely time for me going through the divorce. So I wanted to be able to change that, to show people, hey, you don't have to do this by yourself. If you need somebody to talk to, here's my number. DM me, text me, and we can talk about it. And a lot of the emotions that they're going through, I've already went through it and told them, look, I've already gone through that. This is not going to be the end of it. This is just part of the journey. And the Lord showed me recently, just because my hard, it doesn't seem like somebody else's heart is at the same value or the same height, doesn't mean that it's not hard for them. So me being a single parent of two, and somebody being married with two kids, just because they're married and I'm not, doesn't mean it doesn't take away from a hard day for them versus a hard day for me. Everybody has a hard time. And even in this process of divorce, my hard may not be their hard. They may not need help with something like that. It might be something so small as, I don't know where to go eat at tonight because I'm so used to going with my spouse. Because that was something that I dealt with. I didn't know what I liked because I was married for 10 years. And then afterwards, it was like, I don't know what I like to do. So teaching them how to get out there, go find yourself again, go find your voice, what you truly like, what matters to you, without worrying about what somebody else is doing. Focus on you, because when you lose the focus on yourself, you're going to stumble and you're going to fall and you're going to get scraped up because that wasn't supposed to be your focus in the first place. So just helping to keep them focused on the road ahead, look forward, not back, because what you need is not back there, it's before you. And as long as I can keep telling women and men the same thing, then if it only helps one person, that's enough.
You would definitely help more than one person. I love it. I'm tired of getting my knees scraped up. I don't feel a whole lot of time. And I might fall a couple of more times, hoping that it doesn't happen anymore. But we got to keep going. We got to keep going. All right, Charlotte, for you, where did the courage come from for you?
Well, for me, it was with all the female nieces, including my daughter, when they were growing up. I used to say, I pushed the book, I'm okay, you okay. I love that book. I'm sure you guys might read it, but I'm okay, you okay. I pushed it. Then I also would tell them, to the day you die, someone's going to always say something about you. But always hold that head up and know who you are. Now, that's how I started with all the females, including my daughter. So when it came time to write this chapter, I had a discussion with my daughter and I asked her, this is what I'm going to do. What do you feel about it? And she says, Mom, all you're going to do is tell the truth. And like you've always told us, you tell the truth. And as I do, whatever pushback comes, it comes. Because when you speak the truth, it really doesn't matter what anyone has to say about it. So we really approached it more with the courage. And it was healing for me, too. Like I said, just revisiting it when Jackie asked me, I realized I wasn't healed. I was like, I need therapy. It's like all kind of stuff was coming out of me. So it actually gave me a breath of fresh air, too. Even let me see myself in a different light, to open my mouth and speak, because we sweep so much under the rug. We hide so much from each other because from the generation, at least mine, and tell my, but we're told what stays in the house, you don't tell anyone. You don't mention anything. Well, I'm a firm believer is if you speak about it and people know about it, because you're not the only one in the world that went through something like this. You're not. Okay. And so that's what really kind of inspires me and encourages me to be a force to be reckoned with.
All right, force. I will tell you, people ask me all the time, should they share their story? When do you know you're ready to share your story? Should I? That's one of the main things. Should I share? And I'll tell them, are you telling the truth? As long as you're telling the truth, it's your truth, share it. You can say it and tell all that you want to tell because it is your truth, right? And we're all healing. Sometimes we feel like we're perfectly healed. I don't think there's no such thing. I've heard people say that they're healed and they're done, but we have things called triggers. And when we think that we're completely over it, one day we just wake up crying like, gosh, I thought I was good. So it's a healing journey, and going to therapy really does help. One thing about Hush No More, we provide absolutely free counseling to our community. So when you're going through some things, you're going through one of the Hush topics, you can contact us for counseling, because it really does work. It helps us to get to that next level, even when we think we're healed. I'm not healed. I'm on a healing journey. I feel pretty good, but I am definitely not healed. Jacqueline said that heal people heal people. I agree with that. Just like hurt people can hurt people, it is really important that you're healed and that you pour into other people as well. All right, so we're getting close to the end, but I wanted to know from each and every one of you something that you want to say to encourage others before we leave out, and also how can individuals contact you and how they can get a copy of the book. I have put the link to the book in the chat box, but I want you to share that. And Jackie, you can go first.
Awesome. First of all, I want to say thank you so very much for having us. And it has definitely been a pleasure. And I will leave this with the audience. One of the things that I always talk about is you have to do some things afraid. And that doesn't mean that, like I said, that doesn't mean that as it says, you are afraid, but you still have to go forth and you have to do it anyway, regardless. Because in that push and in you moving forward, you have the ability to change so many people's lives in the process. Because one of the things that is most crucial is that you stay bound by your fear, and then there's hundreds or thousands even that you're able to set free in the process. So that's what this journey was about. It wasn't that we weren't nervous or we weren't afraid, but we did it afraid. So we knew that through the process that it would have the opportunity, our stories would have the opportunity, whether it's individually or collectively, to be able to heal so many people. And in the beginning of my chapter, I put a quote by Zig Ziglar. It's not where you start, but where you finish that counts. No matter where you are today, I encourage you to push through and know that just as you're seeing these beautiful ladies tell their stories and their journey about how they went through, and the key word is through, all the things that occur in circumstances and situations in their lives, you have the same opportunity. So please be encouraged. Reach out to us. You can reach me on. You can connect with me. I'm always open to assist and help as much as I possibly can. I do it all the time, and so don't man. You can reach me on Twitter at Jackie JCQUE capital A Pitt, or you can reach me on Facebook as well. And that's with my name, Jackie Pitt. Or you can connect with me on Instagram at Mind Changing Living, or mothers and daughters are we at gmail.com. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for having us.
You are welcome. And can you tell, since you're over the whole creation of the book and the whole mindset behind it, can you tell us how to actually purchase the book?
Yes, you can purchase at Amazon. Of course, you can go to Amazon.com, and if you put in the title Mothers and Daughters, their story, their way, only they can tell it. And of course, if you're connected with anyone that's on the show tonight, please reach out to them personally, and they will be able to connect with you and get you an autographed copy.
Thank you. I have my autographed copy. Alicia made sure I got an autographed copy, which just warmed my heart. I thought that was so sweet of her. All right. So, Alicia, how can individuals get in contact with you as well? What is some encouraging words that you want to leave with our audience?
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank Dr. Vanessa Dunn Guyton for having us tonight. And I also thank her because she's always so supportive, and I thank her for the opportunity to allow me to tell my story on screen that's being seen, all over the world. And I appreciate her so much for trusting in me to share in that moment. I always like to tell people to be mindful of the words that they speak to, about, and over others, because they are seeds and they do get planted. And sometimes things in life come along and water those seeds. And then you have issues that crop up, similar to the ones that we've talked about tonight. I also want to say to any woman out there, you are enough, period. There's nothing else that needs to be added to that. You are enough. And you also are someone's answer in the earth. The gifts and the callings that are in you are designed to bring about answers and clarity to someone in the earth. So don't allow situations and circumstances to cause you to feel less than. So to get in touch with me, you can do it several ways. I have a site, Brella, Services LLC at gmail.com. If you've seen me in the video that Dr. Guyton shows, I am bald and I have alopecia. And so I'm also known as the alopecia warrior. And you can connect with me on Facebook. I have a support page called Pieces. That's Pieces. And it's Pieces, a soulful journey with alopecia. And we talk about hair loss. We encourage each other and just encourage women to embrace who they are. Lastly, on Instagram, you can find me under Bold, Bald, BALD, Girl, GURL. That's who I am on Instagram. So if you want to get in touch with me, please don't hesitate to do so. And Dr. Guyton, again, I love you and I thank you so much.
I love you too. And thank you for just reaching out and agreeing to bring all the ladies on the show. So thank you. That means a lot to me. And trusting me, all of you trusting me with your story, and that means a lot to me. Onita, what about you?
I would like to leave this: choose the hard right over the easy wrong. And I say that because anybody can do what's wrong, but it takes someone who has strength to do what's right. And when you do what's right, know who's watching, and he's going to redeem everything you ever thought you lost, and he's going to give it back to you 10 times better than you ever imagined getting it back for yourself. And I am able to be reached on Facebook. My name is Onita Simpson. And through Instagram, my handle is looking, LOOKING underscore the number 4 underscore me. So looking for me. And you can also reach me through Onita underscore Brown at yahoo.com. And my inboxes are open. So if you have any questions or you need a little push, don't hesitate to reach out.
I love it. I love it. Life can be hard, and we do have to make some hard decisions. And we can make the hard decisions that leads to all the positive, to all the blessings that God has for us if we just go to take the hard road sometimes. So thank you for that, Avita. All right, Charlotte.
What I would like to leave is basically let every woman know out there that you can be your own dynamic duo. You can go through anything, you can survive it, don't be afraid to do it. Like we discussed, especially when you're dealing with a topic that you don't understand. If you don't understand it, like there is a way to get through it. You can reach me at Sloan Selective Services Incorporated, and that's Selective, Sloan Selective Incorporated. If you want to learn anything about the seniors helping seniors, as far as my personal email address, that would be my last name, Cowser, my first name, Charlotte, 47, the number 47, at gmail.com.
I love it.
And that,
Can you repeat
Dr.
the first
Alicia,
part? Because you're going in and out again. Can you repeat how to contact you? The first part that you said to your organization.
Sloan Selective Services Incorporated at gmail.com is my business email address. And then my personal email address is my last name, my first name, the number 47 at gmail.com.
I absolutely love it. Love it. Ladies, it has truly been a pleasure. I was really impressed with your book. All of you had a story that I could relate to, that all mothers and daughters can relate to. I have a daughter, her name is Tiara. She has been through this journey with me. Our daughters definitely go on a journey with us, especially when you're a teenage mom they go or you're a single parent and when you're married and with children, we go through these journeys. And so thank you for just being honest and having a right to tell your story, understanding that because you're definitely an encouragement to us all. So thank you once again. I hope to meet all of you one day in the future. So the ones that are here in Columbia, we can. And I do want to mention that there's other ladies that are also part of your book that were not able to come on today. So Carolyn Allen, she's part of this journey. Yashica Mack is part of this journey. And also Aboe, she's also part of this journey, Aboe Banks. And so thank you all for being part of the Magnificent Seven and sharing this journey. Yashica, I hope you feel better. I know that that COVID vaccine got you down, but you're going to be protected, girl. So thank you for actually sharing and being part of the seven mothers and daughters. So thank you, ladies. All of you who have joined us tonight, I thank you for just being part of the Hush No More family. Remember that we are here to help everyone. Reach out to us if you have resources, if you know people that need help with any of the hush topics, sexual assault, domestic violence, sex trafficking, child sexual abuse, incest, anything that they're going through. We're here to be a force to be reckoned with, as Charlotte said. And we are here all the time. You can reach us at hushnomore.org. You can reach us on all the social media platforms as well. On every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have art therapy. You don't have to be able to draw. You just come out and hang out with us via Zoom. And we always have a great time. So we'd love for you to join us then. Every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Hush No More Champions. If you would like to be a guest to share your story, if you are a nonprofit, if you are an advocate doing great things in our community, we want to hear from you because our community needs to know what you're doing. So peace and blessings to you all. And as a final reminder, this Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are doing sex, drugs, and alcohol, and it is targeted to college students who are either headed to college or are already in college because our kids need to know what is going on, and there are no parents allowed. This is for those students to be able to have questions answered and be able to have that real conversation. So please register for that. Tell other college students because we want to protect our children as they're doing great things and getting the education. So peace and blessings to you all, and I hope to see you again in the future. Thank you once again, ladies.